I assume that you all know what lying is. It's an act that's rooted in the concept of intelligent life. And no, that's not just me excusing my problems, that's a fact. You'd think that with how widespread it is, it would be more commonly accepted in society, but no. Apparently if you lie yourself to a job, it's deceitful and pathetic. This has caused people to take lying and use it in subtler ways, such as pairing it alongside facts and logic to make it more socially acceptable. Hence we get rhetoric. Rhetoric is literally just persuasion and changing other people's opinions to fit yours. That sounds awfully theoretical. However, the one drunk white guy we need to know about is Plato. We all know about Plato, right? Haha, no, don't lie to yourself. Nobody knows about Plato. We've all heard of Plato. Nobody knows about what he does, though. Don't worry, the channel's a safe space, you're all heard. So Plato was a philosopher, big shock there. He talked about basically everything, which makes it hella hard to go ahead and find a general field to summarize his work in. Looking at you, biography.com, with your, his writings explore justice, beauty, and equality, and also contain discussions of aesthetics, political philosophy, theology, cosmology, epistemology, and the philosophy of language, like that means anything. He theorized on a large variety of subjects, which is one of the main reasons why he's so well known. Now, he believed in something called absolute truth, which is basically that truth is objective and there's only one truth. You can't go ahead and have multiple. Now that's great and all, but when you think about it, how can this actually help you? The name of the game back then was politics, and I don't know if you know this, politics involves lying. A lot of lying. That is where rhetoric came in. Rhetoric serves as the idea that truth is subjective and varies on person to person, and it isn't really my fault for running over that child officer. He shouldn't have been where my car was going to be, so it's kinda on him. Now this form of truth is very promising to those bastards in politics. This demand caused for people to want to learn more about rhetoric so they can use it to their advantage. Therefore, a group of people sprang up, those being the sophists. The sophists were a group of people who taught rhetoric with the promise of we can make your failure of a kid successful. Amongst these sophists, one name stood out, that being Gorgias, a name as self-centered as me. Now Gorgias was the apex sophist, being able to convince anyone of anything by his skills of pure persuasion and also pure annoyingness. A good example of that is when he argued that Helen was not at fault for the Trojan War. Shocker, the person who got kidnapped is not at fault for the war that happened when they're outside. Really? No. This was still unbelievably controversial at the time because it was ancient Greece. His take on rhetoric was functionally what caused for the modern view on rhetoric to exist. Earlier, rhetoric was seen as a dirty tactic, something used to just get votes and lie to the people. However, Gorgias described it as a noble, godlike tool, a tool that could go ahead and persuade judges, court systems, anyone with any form of governmental power, all for the purpose of the greater good. It evolved into a tool that politicians used and was seen as an intelligent, respectable move. Now you may be asking, Aditya, I get rhetoric, but how is it an invention? Rhetoric isn't an invention, so why is it in this series? You pathetic infant, of course it's an invention! Rhetoric, as described by Aristotle, is an invention. Invention is always concerned with logos, the appeal to logic. Rhetoric is also heavily tied with logos, as it commonly utilizes facts and logic to go ahead and get your way. Therefore, they are obviously linked. Let's ignore the paper-thin argument that I'm saying, and that I'm using Aristotle as an example. Instead, focus on the logos connection, so it definitely qualifies as an invention. So skip around 2,398 years, and we are here, the modern day. So what's rhetoric used like now? Well, it's tough to succinctly summarize, but it's still here and it still plays a massive role. It's become more subtle, less garish, but still maintains its main purpose. That being to go ahead and convince others to do what you want them to do. It's also not just used in politics. Chances are that you've used rhetoric at least once in your daily life. So yeah, a bit of an unconventional invention, but still a very important one nonetheless. Please subscribe. I need YouTube numbers for my validation.